Hello, I'm Ashleigh Grange, and welcome to Wellness Begins Within. Today, I'm so excited to have my friend Ian here, and our friendship actually began, as all good friendships do, on the beach in Mexico. 2 years ago, we met on Christmas Day, and I have learned so much from him, and he is such a resource. And so I'm so excited to have him on my podcast today, and I want to just read a little bio introducing him and some of the wisdom that he has available to share with our listeners today. So, as I said, I'm thrilled to welcome Ian Kain. He is the co-founder of Natoorales and also a wellness systems designer. Ian brilliantly bridges the worlds of science and spirituality. With over 15 years in bioenergetics, trauma-informed detox, and root cause wellness, which everyone knows I am all about, he helps clients heal beyond conventional limits. His path has been fascinating. After naturally resolving a severe skin lesion, he shifted from his career as an EU diplomat and a public health lawyer into holistic practice. Now based in Mexico, Ian empowers individuals to regulate their nervous systems and experience profound change. I am so thrilled to have you here, Ian.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Ashley. Yeah, it was wonderful. That's why I put the beach behind me.
that's right.
It's a good reminder, not just of our friendship, where we met the first time, but also where I'm right now in southern Mexico, which is
Yes.
lovely. Well,
Uh,
thank you for this wonderful introduction.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that really stands out about your bio is this idea of bioenergetics. And so do you want to
Mhm.
talk a little bit about how you interpret that or how you kind of explain that to your clients?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the I love to see things scientifically as I love them intuitively. First, of course, I'm drawn to things intuitively, and then I search for some sort of confirmation in a more scientific world. Bioenergetics is, I would say, such a neglected part of our lives. The reason for that is sometimes, we do everything right. We eat the right food, we exercise, we take supplements, we have a good sleep and all of that, and yet, something starts happening in our body, our biology, and illness or symptoms start popping up. And then we ask ourselves, why I do everything right. And this is where the bioenergetic comes in. And bioenergetic can be ancestral and transferred over. It could be from our previous lifetime, and it could come from our spiritual line, who we are in a spirit world, or even from the soul, oversoul, avatar, or rishi level. Depends. Higher levels, of course, do not deal with same issues. So I know there's a lot of words that some people aren't familiar with, and it sounds woo-woo to some, but I don't think to your audience at all. So that's why I love talk about it, and I love talk to audience who have some sort of understanding. Most of the people are aware of the chakra system, maybe healing with hands, Reiki, and stuff like that. And I would say, yes, that's great. There's a lot more to it as well in terms of not just healing as such, but anatomy. And years ago, because I've been following now, been since 2010, so it's been 16 years. Kelontic Science, Freedom Teachings, and they're teaching really profoundly about the bioenergetic anatomy. And this is like a world you haven't seen. The medical anatomy, physical anatomy is complex. The energetic anatomy is even more complex because it's layered, it's multidimensional on top. If you will, the physical anatomy is just in three-dimensional, but energetic one goes multidimensional. And here we live in a 15-dimensional matrix. We have 15 chakras, not just seven. They are embodied. Nine of them are embodied. The rest are out of the body, anchored in different places, and they all can be out of tune. And chakras are just one of the layers. Then there are axion tonal lines underneath there. There's Katara grid underneath that one. So there's a lot of a lot of things that can go wrong. And we bring this distortion in sometimes from another life, sometimes through the genetic lineage, and sometimes through a spirit line too, because as spirits we live in different lives in different dimensions, in different worlds, if you will. It may be hard for some people to understand that, but we are bleeding through those distortions or wounds of time that we've received even as a spirit. And so that bioenergetics for me, it's such a broad term. And of course, in the physical here, how I bridge that to my people that I work with, well, you have your phone, right? And how the signal, you don't know how the signal really comes to your phone, but you're able to talk. You don't know how the signal, the Wi-Fi come to your phone, bring all that data, and we are having this video conversation, halfway across the planet. If you're right at this moment, right? And people are easy to accept those facts, but very difficult to accept the fact that maybe the body, the brain, is just a receiver and the signal is coming from another place and is projected into the body. We're just processing it. So bioenergetic then, when it comes to physical anatomy, is maybe that little switch, that little buzz that pushes the liquids, the fluids in the body move in a certain way or get distorted in the body. That starts initiating certain biochemical processes and drives our emotions. Things like that. So these are on a very, I would say, superficial level. But since you're also an amazing homeopath, and I learned that from you. Miasms, for example, are a big thing in homeopathy, where you have this energetic disease imprint that's transferred from your ancestry into through the, I would say, genetics are calling it epigenetic overlay because they have no other expression, but it's a plausible thing for science, so they accepted it. But in fact, it's just a bioenergetic that is transferred over as a signature, and then the body responds to an illness that your ancestor had, and it was producing a lot of trauma. Like, for example, tuberculosis caused a lot of trauma in the physical body with breathing, and then it was highly contagious, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and physical suffering. And if the person had offspring and transferred that trauma to the offspring, of course, the offsprings will suffer some of the indications of that trauma. So bioenergetics for me is it's a signature, it's a frequency signature for sure. And then we come to the term frequency, which I believe drives most of the biology, can drive our minds, can drive our thoughts, and also our biology. But then, as it can influence in a negative way, we can also use corrective frequency to stimulate our organism, our mind, if you will, to correct itself.
And so, like, for someone who's brand new to bioenergetics, are you scanning the body? Are you like how
Uh-huh.
are you perceiving
Uh-huh.
this
Uh-huh.
information?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, because I love to have one foot always in the science,
Mhm.
as I am very keen, I came across the muscle testing, kinesiological muscle testing, been at the beginning when I was studying to become a life coach, almost, when was that? 2013. And that's a very reliable way of testing something, and it's scientific. But then, way before, I was relying on some sort of intuition. I would just have a feeling, like the body knows, right? And muscle testing proved that the body knows. And but later on, I was always a little bit, I don't know if I can trust the body, and there are so many interferences. And I've also experienced how strong the telepathic interference can be from the collective consciousness. And I only realized that when I isolated myself and when people stopped thinking of me and I was out of that public life, I started realizing, oh, these are my thoughts. The other weren't. And I realized how strong the impact of collective consciousness can also be. So I wanted to exclude that out. That's why I came across at first different technologies, and ultimately, I ended up using biophilia as a nonlinear process. It scans the biofield. I was also using Energy for Life uh, vocal print, and I was using also Sherry Edwards sound vocal print and detection of things. But then I ended up with biophilia because it gives me uh, tangible number. It gives me numbers that I can compare. Yes, also with muscle testing, but it just takes ages, right? You
Yeah.
can go quickly, but it takes ages to go to test a presence and intensity of something. For
Mm-hmm.
example, okay, yes, you have this parasite, but is
Yeah.
it active? You have just an imprint, and you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
scale 1 to 10. Where is it? So, and imagine to do a list of, I don't
Oh,
know, 300, 500.
yeah.
You have to test the microbe, you have to test the toxins, you have to test the toxicities, deficiencies, you have pathologies, you have to test all that. So the
Mhm.
machine does that for me. And
Wow.
then it outputs me the numerical values that tells me precisely, okay, what is present and what intensity it is, and is it relevant? How relevant it is.
Yeah.
So I can also see, are you, if I dive deep into it, are you out of it or you're going into it? Are you in a clinical phase or you're just in a preclinical phase? I can see all those things. I don't go into the clinical type of investigation.
Yeah.
What I want to extract out is just an overview where somebody is at this point so that we can create a measurable, well, we have a measurable uh, output, and then we can create a plan. And
Yeah.
then next time we test, we can compare the two. Machines, I would say, they are reliable to a certain extent, but also lab work. You go to do a lab work, blood work, for example, it has its margin of error.
Of
And
course.
then depends, did you fast before? What did you eat 2 days before? Everything that comes into a picture, and that margin of error is pretty big. I have people who came to me, oh, I gave blood, I went for a regular test, and my cholesterol is off the chart. And I said, okay, when did you give your blood? I said, well, it was 2nd January. I said, are you kidding me? After Christmas and New Year? Now I go first on your, now you're going to go, it was about, I said, wait a month,
Yeah.
eat your normal life and live your normal life, and then do your test again. And cholesterol and everything was normal. You know,
Wow. Wow.
so and she was prescribed statins.
Yeah.
I said, are you kidding me?
Wow.
For what? Based
Uh,
on one blood example. And
so
and
really looking at the patterns is important, right? It's like you can't take
yes,
one scan
yes,
in isolation and then
no,
make a plan
no,
based on that. It has to
yeah,
be over time,
yeah,
and then that
yeah,
comparison allows you to see like where the gaps are or where the stresses are,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
the difference between, say for example, someone's iron came and showed that it was really high, and then on the next scan it showed that it was normal level. That gap is kind of, it's showing where the frequency is, or like how do you tell what's good and what's bad?
Well,
I guess you're trying to get back to baseline.
it's great you chose iron. I mean that's the
I
perfect
feel like it,
example.
it affects
And
a
I,
lot.
and I tell you why it's perfect example because and same with hypertension. The machine would show me you are anemic. Let's
Mhm.
see, would
Yeah.
show me you have anemia. And there are like 6 different types that can show up. And then when I check the minerals, iron shows normal.
Oh,
So
oh,
you
interesting.
have available iron, and we
Uh,
recycle about even up to 98% of our iron. We recycle it.
wow.
We don't need to introduce new iron.
Hmm.
The iron is mismanaged.
Oh, so is the
So,
body, in that case, the body is missing the cofactors to actually use it.
correct,
Oh, interesting. So things like
correct.
copper,
Yeah,
right? It's a
yeah.
big one.
Yeah. So iron is really one of those examples. And iron, for example, is subject to zinc, to copper,
Yeah.
because they're managing each other, right?
And
And
I
then
guess copper is another big one that can end up kind of suppressed, right? It's in a non-usable
yeah,
form that the body
yeah.
can actually
Yeah,
manipulate.
yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
then all those minerals will on them it depends whether calcium is drawn from the bones into the bloodstream, and
Yeah.
then your vessels are clogging, for
Yeah.
example. Your cholesterol might be up because it's necessary. Your brain needs cholesterol.
Hmm.
Your body needs cholesterol for to lower the inflammation, but it's more important than not having it.
Hmm.
And another example similar to iron is hypertension. It would show me, for example, oh yeah, you have maybe hypertension, but that's vascular. But the kidneys would show hypotension.
Oh.
So you would see both, and that would show me that there are some processes in the kidneys that are happening. The kidneys aren't happy because the way I look at it, I don't study the biomechanics to the details. It's not necessary. We see that there are certain organs that are unhappy,
See the
certain
pattern.
minerals are out of balance, and
Yeah.
usually this is subject to lifestyle in general. So what do we eat? When do we eat? How often do we eat?
Sun.
When do we go to bed? Do we get up with the sun? Do we wear sunglasses? Do we wear constantly computer screens in front of our faces? So it's all contributing factor to mineral management, then mitochondrial health, cellular membrane health, because those are the three that are always somehow affected in the root cause. And then everything starts from there.
Oh, interesting. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, in this case, we're looking at the body as, a physical layer or the physical matter of it. But what about
Uh-huh.
things like emotions? Can emotions have an impact
Oh
on?
yeah. So the machine also shows me and it's just ridiculous. Sometimes I get like 5 pages. So you can
Wow.
tell that the just emotions.
Hmm.
And I usually look for fears, emotional matrix in general. Then I look resolution,
So would that be
what
like
kind
an
of
emotion?
resolution you're looking for. Yeah, it's all on the emotional body.
Interesting.
And then with some people, it lists maybe this much, maybe 15 of emotions.
Oh.
These people are usually a lot more stable.
Mhm.
And then when it comes with people that are emotionally supercharged,
Yeah.
maybe overly sensitive people,
Yeah.
the list just goes
Yeah. Because they're
goes like
probably,
crazy.
are they carrying emotions that might not even be theirs? Like you talked about ancestral, so it's like they're obviously picking this up from outside of
It's
themselves.
it's possible, but also there's so many layers, right? And probably they're on the chart of all these um, they go through the whole frequency spectra of the emotions. That's why they show up. And sometimes it's really tricky how to summarize them together to
Yeah.
find which are primary, which are secondary, then which are the most destructive one that all others are nested within. Because this is where it's really good the scale of human consciousness comes in very, very good. You have, I don't know, logarithmic scale, and there are emotions that are listed up to level 200. 200 is courage, and everything that's lower, like fear, shame, greed, all those are actually negative emotions that are like black hole. They're absorbing more
Wow.
than lust, absorbing more than they provide. And then, for example, shame is equal to clinical death.
Oh, wow.
That's how low it is. And we tend to shame people,
Hmm.
slander, shame, or even as children, you're dirty. Oh, who's gonna look at you? Stuff like that. We have no idea how much damage we do. And when you get to a level 200, which is courage, then it's the first time when you're on the surface. And
Wow.
then it goes up to neutrality, and enlightenment is on the top. And we get born into a certain level. We
Oh,
can drift down
yeah.
easily, but it's very difficult to have a leap upward. We can go several points up
Yeah.
in life, but it's easy to drift down. So when we drift, and we can spiral because of different reasons, right? It could be socioeconomical, it could be health reason, different reason that pulls us down. And then we have all this list of different emotions that go through our minds throughout the day, and that get listed. And how that impact us is because negative emotions are driving acidity in the body, and
Mm.
that drives toxicity in the body.
So
So
the more acid the body is overall, that is it's basically an insult or it's interfering with the body.
yeah, it's an interference, yeah. And
Interesting.
of course, we should be fair, right? There are parts of our body, like mucosis, the skin, they're more acidic. Our blood is alkaline.
Like as protection, you mean like
Yeah,
the
because of the bacterial
skin band
protection.
though has to be a
Skin,
certain
yeah, skin,
shape.
and also all mucoses
Yeah, yeah, of course.
are acidic to
Yeah.
protect us from bacterial invasion. But in digestion tract, at the beginning, only stomach is acidic, just to digest, to break down the proteins and fibers and stuff like that. Everything from there on is alkaline,
Oh,
and the most alkaline is our poop.
yeah,
Our exhaust is the most alkaline.
yeah.
And if we break alkalinity of the digestive tract, we get diarrhea. If is too acidic or too alkaline, it will flush. Because
Wow.
every stage, and as it goes around and you have different valves, these are also stages of alkalinity where alkalinity changes. And pancreas is the most responsible to keep alkalinity in check. It's the biggest producer of baking soda
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
body. And
Wow.
we use baking soda to alkalinize
Yeah.
the digestive tract. Stomach produces it, and some other places too. I think even kidneys, but pancreas is the biggest producer of baking soda.
Wow.
So
And
it neutralizes the acidity. So we go back to emotions.
mhm.
So first of all, of course, they produce acidity. They rise cortisol and adrenaline, and that's
Emotions do. Like emotions
emotions. Yeah.
cause cortisol
and
rise.
and this brings us to flight fight. We start cringing. The fluid don't flow. The lymph is blocked.
Oh,
The breathing, we breathe more shallowly, so we don't oxygenate the body. So the whole um, organism goes down into a big stress. And of course, you can work on the stress for such a period of time, and then things starts failing. So this is where emotions come into be, and emotions are energetics.
hmm.
Um,
So
it's
what?
just
I mean, the scan is probably not going to tell you how to remove those emotions, but how do then people like what kind of tools might we use to
yeah, yeah.
process those emotions? Because that feels
Well,
like a big category. Like it almost feels like, that's as important as the physical layer, the physical matter, because
yeah,
it just seems like it has such a
yeah.
big impact. Because have you ever, well, I guess here's a good question is, have you ever done a scan for somebody where emotions were not playing a role in their health?
No. No. No, never. Never. Because, and I tell you why. Because um, if they are running mostly predominantly on happy emotions, that supports their health and they're in a good health.
Those will show up on the scan too. It's not just negative emotions.
Also, the good ones
Oh, wow.
will show the positive one too,
Yeah.
but I'm not so interested in those because those are fine. Keep them. No,
Yeah.
I mean, we
You
don't need
don't,
to correct.
yeah, yeah. I guess
We
that's the
don't
thing.
need to
It's like
correct.
we're looking for the frequency that's going to be a match. And if they're already happy, we don't need them
Yeah.
to be happier.
Yeah. And so now we can correct emotions. Well, I misspoke earlier. Emotions are actually biochemicals.
Mhm.
They
Like
are biochemicals.
that's how they act in the body as a
Yeah, in
biochemical
the
reaction.
body. But the trigger can be energetic, can be
Oh,
chemical, or
yeah,
it can be energetic, right?
yeah.
Or a thought can be a thought,
Trauma.
also intellectual. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we have this stored responses, the memory matrix, that
Uh,
when the trigger comes, and the trigger can be geographical location.
oh,
The
yeah.
trigger can be a sound. The trigger can
Wow.
be a certain taste, smell. All the olfactories, right, can trigger the the memory and the thought. The thought will trigger biochemistry. Biochemistry will drive uh, biochemical response in the body that we feel as an emotion.
Wow.
And the biophilia itself has a treatment program too, because it's a, as it is diagnostic, or I would say evaluation tool.
Investigative, yeah.
Yeah, it's also used for treatment. You can run the reverse frequency off because it works almost like a biofeedback device. It can reverse you send in the reverse frequency
Yeah.
to work with those
Like,
emotions.
like if the liver was in a bad state, it's sending out a particular
Yeah,
frequency, and you're basically
yeah,
correcting that with
yeah,
the positive
yeah,
or the inverse,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't use that as much because there usually when somebody comes to see me, there's a lot happening.
Yeah, of course. It's
It's
yeah, yeah. You can imagine the average person, even though they imagine that they're fairly healthy, they're coming with a chief complaint,
yeah,
and the chief complaint is
yeah,
the thing that they most want to have
yeah,
fixed, not
yeah,
the other 10 things that aren't yet causing a problem.
yeah. Yeah. And yet, of course, I have to choose also which tool which is going to be more effective or
Yeah.
most effective. And then, for example, I love the homeopathics one because they work on the energetics, they work on the energetic level, so you can lower those signals down, neutralize those signals on the energetic level.
It's almost
So,
like if the body's communicating, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden it's like
yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
like it's just making that I
Yeah.
guess a little bit
They're
quieter.
unconscious, right? They're
Yeah.
unconscious.
Oh,
So people are not even aware of them, but they're present. And some people know, oh, you built a tantrum. In neurolinguistic programming, we literally build personas, build
oh,
entities with
oh,
in a traumatic event. It's part of our defense mechanism that
protection. Yeah.
you disassociate yourself from, and you
Mhm.
create that temporary persona, and it has its birth date, it has its name sometimes, and it has his personality. It has all of that, and this lives as an energy imprint within your fields.
Yeah.
And when
So
there's a
machine
trigger,
picking that up. Yeah.
and
Wow.
machine speak, yeah. So
Wow.
then you can use either, okay, neurolinguistic programming technique or homeopathic, for example, or there are two other techniques that I use for traumas. One is Seabridge and PET. There are two different. The PET I love for most recent one. It's
Mhm.
easier to deprogram the most recent one because they're still alive and running within the circuitry.
Yeah.
They're the others, you need to elicit them a little bit. It's not a talk therapy.
Mhm.
The Seabridge is not really a talk therapy, but you have to get into that experience just tiny little bit so that you feel it in the body.
Mhm.
And then you start cleaning out the residues from the meridian, meridian by meridian. There are 14 layers that we clean, and we access those meridians through acupuncture, acupressure points. These
Mhm.
are Chinese acupuncture points where we're using the wrist to
Mhm.
access those meridians. Then imagine the memories in general, including traumas, are stored almost like in this. If you go to a library, you have these big bookshelves, and they are compartmentalized or in different sections. And this is what meridians are. So
Oh,
uh, each meridian stores a memory from a different perspective.
yeah.
And of course, it runs through a different organ systems. And
Oh, so you could have one event that's considered a traumatic event, and each one of the meridians is going to have a different perception, a different perspective.
yeah.
Is it likely that all the meridians would see it as a negative, or could there be a positive reaction in one of those meridians? It's really interesting.
Um, but we're talking about the trauma,
Yeah,
right? The positive, I'm not focusing on the positive. If
yeah,
it's a
okay.
positive, it's a good one.
Yeah.
If it's illicit in the process, discovery process,
Mhm.
then it's usually the one that is
The one that's causing trouble.
causing frustration.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it's causing some sort of damage. Now, um, there's so many approaches, but this one is very deep. It's actually hard work. A lot of people have hard times because they need to work. It's on them to clean that out.
yeah,
Trauma
of
was
course,
very
of course.
very strong, rough event.
Yeah,
But the good thing is they don't have to relive it. They don't have to remember vividly, but we have to bring it up to make it alive so that we can pull those weeds out because they have to be active to pull them out.
yeah.
And we just slightly activate them and then it's gone. It's gone and then it's gone.
Wow. It's
And
like
that's the
you've
beauty
just
of it.
it's almost like you've cleared the energetic memory of it, right? Because that's the
Yeah,
goal is to yeah, to
yeah,
basically clear the slate.
yeah. And then, of course, there are different layers to it. Now, earlier I was mentioning the ancestral stuff. I mentioned miasms that are known in homeopathy as imprints of a disease that have happened with one of the mm,
Family
predecessors,
members. Yeah, yeah,
and then they were transferred over. But then there is more that we use also. I'm not doing it. I'm just participating as a witness role player in those ones. I have another colleague that works with that systemic constellation, systemic family constellation. Some people know of it, and sometimes we need to use that one as well. It's and with most people would benefit to clear the entire family matrix and to elicit out all the family secrets that are creating energetic blockages that the life force doesn't flow properly from the predecessors to the offsprings. And once cleared, the life force comes through and people can immediately feel the relief and ease with that. So that's also one element that is not even your conscious or unconscious trauma. You're not aware of it. So you can't reach it with Seabridge or PET
hmm
because it's not within
yeah,
you. It's the ancestral in a different way. So we need to use the constellation to clear that out. And that will sometimes already, it's like a house of cards.
yeah, yeah,
You pull
yeah.
the basic out, and then some other traumas might lose their power immediately, but at least then we have a clear picture which trauma we still need to work with. And usually I recommend start with 10 sessions
Mhm.
because there are at least 10 events in your life that were traumatic in some way.
And
And sometimes,
you're using family constellations for these 10, right? Like 10
yeah,
specific. Yeah.
it it will show up. You can see very quickly where it guides you.
hmm
Sometimes during constellations, another picture shows up that you need to do next. It just shows up. The field
Yeah,
shows you're
yeah.
ready, go for it. If you want, of course. And with the trauma release, the sea bridge, the same. Sometimes throughout the process, the person will start remembering another event.
Wow.
And regardless that at the beginning in the discovery session, we have listed, for example, certain events that they know they were traumatic for them,
Yeah,
these new events might surface in their memory and will
yeah.
pin them in as the next one because your unconscious told you this is
Yes.
next. And
It's
and it
almost
is
like
linked.
the
Yeah.
trauma itself is in layers. You've cleared off the layer that is either
Yeah.
conscious or unconscious, and then
Yeah.
now you have the ability to find new
Yeah.
events that pop up that you might not even have realized are in your family line
Yeah.
or in your family or in you yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are, I would say, first, I have a little piece of technology that helps
Yeah.
me identify some. Then, of course, I have a profound conversation. I go through the guilt, I go through the trauma, I go through all these things that might uh, have an impact, negative impact on their energetics, bioenergetics, and then we can address it. And then we use different tools. Then I decide which one test, which one would be best, and also depends on the client. Some people say, "Oh, okay, I just wanted to." to
Yeah.
know,
Just
fine,
want
and
to,
they
yeah.
don't want to do anything, and they just go back to their life and continue suffering.
And I think
And
it's
other,
common to feel overwhelmed because you just realize
yeah, yeah,
the enormity of how we're interacting with our environment, right? Something new comes up,
yeah,
and all of a sudden we have to
yeah,
respond to that, or the body is responding to it,
yeah,
both from a conscious level and from a subconscious level. So I think people are often
yeah,
overwhelmed. Part of the
yeah.
challenge, right? Is how do
Th-
we
th-
distill it down?
yeah, yeah.
Just
I
because,
don't blame them because,
yeah.
first of all, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just, it's like, how do we distill it down to a point where the plan is like, okay, it feels doable. Like it doesn't feel
Hmm.
overwhelming because most people are not going to, at least in my experience in clinical practice as a nutritionist, people are not going to necessarily be able to overhaul their diet, take all the supplements, take all the remedies, go to the gym every day. They're going to be able to carve out some of that based on what their highest priority goals
Hmm.
are. So maybe they make some changes to their diet, but they're not willing to go completely gluten free or completely dairy free or whatever they
Yeah,
need to do. And then maybe they'll be able to
yeah,
take a remedy or two. So how,
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
that's every client is going to give you a new opportunity to see like how deep do they want to go and how much do they want to heal in that moment or in that session, right?
True. Yes, you're absolutely right. It can be overwhelming also because to me, this is my normal life.
Yeah. You
All
like to
these
go
things that
deep.
I know, all these things that I do, and I talk about it like about bread for
Yeah.
someone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And some I can tell I'm looking at them, oh, okay, I lost them. I have to roll back and go and start anew. It's
Yeah.
so easy to overwhelm. So my approach is always as I do the discovery process, I keep talking about things. And I
Hmm.
said, don't worry, just listen.
Hmm.
I don't expect you're going to remember much of it, but I want you to familiarize because you'll receive everything in written. So that's where the report comes into be. I provide a detailed report of the state of play,
Hmm.
the emotional matrix, and then I do that into details because I want to drill down to the root cause.
Hmm.
And then
Yes.
when the root cause is known, then it's much easier to work with nutrition, supplementation, exercise, and um, treatments,
And
which
sometimes
kind of,
I guess sometimes people are coming with a chief complaint that they think is like, oh, it's just, I'll put this in quotes, it's just eczema or it's just, a skin problem, not realizing that there's this whole other world that's affecting that, right? It didn't
yeah,
just come from, eating the wrong foods
yeah,
or whatever, right? So it's like all the emotional
yeah,
aspect, the trauma that might be involved, like you said.
yeah, yeah. And but if they came, it bothered them enough, and they're curious enough to find out what
Yes.
they do with the report. It's on them.
Yes.
I give them options. They have clearly, I stand behind it that I put in writing,
Yeah.
and then where they want to act, and I give them everything almost guided by hand. I usually I usually I do 3 stages for healing, that where they focus on certain things in that stage, and then when that stage is completed, they can move to the next stage. So it's step by step, it's gradual, it's all descriptive, so that they have a tool, almost like a manual, if
Yes.
you will. This is the biggest value. They have no idea how much, first of all, how valuable that is, that somebody gives you that. I
Mhm.
had a client, for example, he came from Mexico City, went to Medico Sur. It's the biggest, most modern hospital. Paid
Wow.
$10,000
Wow.
Americans
Wow.
for all the diagnostics.
Yeah.
And then I put him here on my machines. I collected also his whatever symptomatic he's experiencing. And then when he looked at the results, said, well, yeah, that's also what I learned from for $250 for what he paid $10,000.
Yeah. Wow.
But after the $10,000, he had no plan.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
He said, now I
just,
know what's wrong
yeah.
with me. So,
Yeah. But he didn't know what to
and
do
he
with
was
it.
lost.
That's
Yeah,
the missing piece. So much
yeah,
of healing, and I've been talking about this a lot, but so much of healing stops at the insight, the awareness, the information. It doesn't go beyond that. It doesn't give people an
yeah,
actual solution. It doesn't give them a
yeah,
plan to
yeah,
their health and well-being.
yeah. Yeah. So
So,
that, well, I have also on my website, I have an example of the report. So people
oh,
always, when they go into the bio audit, they can go on the website. I have explained in details, what we do, how we do, why we do, who is it for, and then also if they go into the My Path under the bio audit, but there are links everywhere you can get there. You can see the report and the example. Just to have an overview of the value what you get um,
of
out
course.
of a scan that is 2.5 hours long, and I can do it either in person or at a distance. I
Oh,
can and I can take someone's picture,
mhm.
and just based on the photons that are because the photons, that was Pyotr Garayev who proved that the photons are actually resembling the DNA pattern.
Wow.
And they are the link, almost like a key to your DNA. So that's why if you treat if you treat the picture, you treat the person because the key are the photons that are
It's their
um,
signature. It's their own personal
yeah,
signature.
they're the key and the signature. And in some other system also we use witnesses, right? That we put on a picture, a piece of geographical location, a picture of a person, and radionics works. How
Mhm,
does that work?
mhm,
So Pyotr Garayev showed that the in his experiments, and then he developed certain technologies. I have that technology too. I use it for treatment, not for other things. And that the photons are definitely encrypted DNA and links constantly or continuously with the person. So you can treat the photons and you treat the person. So
wow.
that's really interesting. So I can do the diagnostics on at a distance, the scan, and see to some margin of error for sure,
Yeah, of
bigger than when
course.
I have a person here with their biofield, but reliable enough to have a picture of what's going on. And
Hmm.
then with the symptomatic, when we put two and two together, we can make a really a good plan, action
Going
plan
forward.
where
Well,
what to do.
there's a question that is like peeking at my mind that I have to ask, which is, of course, how do you use intuition in your work? Because that I don't think people realize that, it's a perfect example of, like you said, bridging science and spirituality. How are you tapping into that
Yeah,
unseen world that is sharing so much of this wisdom and so much of this energetic frequency with the work that you're doing?
yeah, it's a big question. It's a big and very important question, and particularly today in the world of so much interference,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of
We
course.
have all this electromagnetic interference, mental smog, all this information floating. I do use intuition. It just comes to me sometimes as direct cognition, sometimes an image, sometimes dreams. I was a lot more intuitive as a kid.
Mhm.
I had all these foretelling dreams. I would know in the morning I would get up and I would talk to my sister, what happened last night? You had a car accident, didn't you? And she said,
Oh,
how did you know? You know,
oh.
stuff like that. And also a lot of spiritual experiences, out of body experiences, traveling, not astral. I don't like astral expression, astral travels, but these are um, travels to a very precise targeted locations that are good
Hmm.
and known locations that are good. And either for my own bioregenesis or for acquiring more knowledge. And in the work, when somebody sits with me, I would just get, this, oh, a feel or a
Oh,
thought, oh, check that. Because
yeah,
the machine has hundreds of switches.
yeah.
And of course, I want to be scientific in a way. I use always the same methodology, always the same setting, always the same methodology so that I get comparable
This,
results.
yeah.
And
Especially
yeah,
if people are doing multiple scans, like you said. So it's like if
yeah,
you were to change any of the parameters and you're doing multiple
yeah,
scans, it's hard to have that comparison over
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Because this machine, for example, provides you perspectives. So
Hmm.
you can have perspective from the cardiovascular, from the heart wall, perspective from the brain, perspective from the blood, and perspective from the blood is it's same like standing on top of the roof, for example. You have or the first floor. From perspective of the first floor, you can see this much of the street. From perspective of the roof, you see a lot more, but you see from afar. So the intensity isn't that strong. So lower you go in, you see more accurate and intensity. But first, you need to get a bigger picture, and then you can dive in. So I just learned through now it's been over 4 years I'm using this technology how to work with it and to have, I would say, a standardized test, and then I can intuitively say, oh, I need to look this and this and this. It
Yeah.
just feels, and then I click switches that I usually don't click
Oh,
after the fact, and said, oh, and it just gives me another perspective of all the data there is, and I enter that in, and then in a conversation with the client, it shows me, oh yeah, there's something about it.
wow. So
However,
you're even taking actions like with your work that could affect the results of the report. Like
yeah,
switches that you wouldn't normally
yeah,
toggle, and
yeah,
then maybe the root cause itself is in there just because intuitively
yeah,
you're feeling that you need to take a different.
yeah, yeah. It just gives you a maybe better perspective or an angle that is supposed to be shed light on. And then when you talk to a client, oh, it makes sense.
Yes.
It's so I like to use it, the intuition in that way. I use pendulum. I have my special pendulum here where I open up a special beam and I cover the whole area. So sometimes I feel I need to do that because maybe people come in, you feel it come with lots of entities and they are interfering. These are entities that, okay, that's another woo term. I hope your viewers understand. They're things that we don't see. Same like we don't see the phone signal, we don't see TV signal. There are other frequency bands that our eyes don't capture, but they exist, coexist with us. The physics have proven that we only see 3% of what there is.
Mm.
We don't see 97% of what there is. So if that doesn't make you think, and to me, that was the scientific proof. Oh yeah, all that exists, and I know exists. I feel it. I sense it. If there is something with somebody coming with entities, I start sneezing like crazy. It's almost
Wow.
like they just fill the room with dust, for example. Said, okay, let's bring up the field and help stabilize the field. However, I always love to have a piece of equipment to confirm or just to bring that consistency
Mhm.
and give me number that I can compare next time. That no,
It's
yeah.
almost just like
So
it's literally the scientific mirror to the intuitive work that you're already doing.
that that too, yeah, that too,
Yeah.
both. It just goes so hand in hand, and I love technology for that. It will never replace human intuition, never, because the technology is as good as we are able to create it out
Hmm.
of our image or imagination or intuition, right? Everything exists man-made was someone's intuition or in particularly these big scientific discoveries or technological discoveries was someone's intuition, imagination. I mean, look at Nikola Tesla. I mean, he was meditating. In his meditation, he found all these devices.
Yeah.
He discovered them, he tested them, and then said, "Oh, this is going to work." And then he built them. And way before they said, "No, that's impossible."
Hmm.
And even today, still the physics, you have uh, big resistance,
Hmm.
materialistic, because there's a big fight between those who are acknowledging consciousness and those who are materialistic, and they keep pushing, pushing, pushing. Of course, they have to defend their PhDs, they have to defend their careers and the bread, and it's so difficult to acknowledge. Oh yeah, consciousness exists, and so when we're gonna realize or acknowledge or recognize that consciousness exists, I think we'll be able to more scientifically include it into general work and teach ourselves as we teach ourselves riding a bicycle to teach using intuition, telepathy, and all other levels of consciousness for our daily living and work, discoveries, and yeah, whatnot.
Wow. Do you want to leave the listeners with an idea, a thought? I mean, that's a pretty powerful thought in itself, but is there anything that you want people to kind of consider if they're thinking about doing bioenergetics work, if they're starting to explore that for themselves, if they have a physical health complaint that they maybe want a little bit more information about?
Yeah. Well, I would say in today's world, more than ever, it's very tricky. There are so many false messiahs and prophets and gurus that are nothing but stealing people's attention and energy. So relying on your own intuition, like I said earlier, I even isolated myself just to be able to understand who I am, what are my thoughts. And this discernment, it's so important. I would say, if nothing else, people always have to trust their first instinct, those 2-second response. Learn muscle testing, that for sure. For those in general, I would say people who feel there's something going on, just have an be audit. See
Mm-hmm.
what's happening, see what's on horizon. Sooner the better, because when you come soon, you see there are very little course corrections to do, and then you are more carefree in life, and you live your life. You can course correct a few things, and you don't have pain, you don't have anything chronic. You have, you can live your life. And most importantly is being in a knowing is super beneficial for inner peace. It
Mm-hmm.
gives you that inner peace.
Inner peace. We all need more inner peace right now.
Yeah, more
I
beach,
I pray,
more
yeah,
beach, more
always more
ocean.
beach.
Yeah,
I feel like
more
we could
ocean.
talk all day, and I feel like I
You and
need to
I?
have you on again, yeah, so that we can have a part two. But I feel like this is will give people so much food for thought because there's so many layers
Yeah,
to what might present as a physical health complaint. But it might the roots, like you said, the root cause wellness is like the focus of the
yeah.
work that we're doing.
Root cause wellness and emotional health is always the first. It
Yeah.
always show up at the top. Even though we think, oh, we're okay, I'm managing, I'm coping. As soon as those thoughts come to your mind, you are coping.
Yeah.
You are trying to stay on the surface of everything that's been stuffed down below, and that you try to be on top of it, but you're not. So trauma, releasing trauma, uh, working with your emotions, it's an ongoing work for sure. But get rid of the old garbage. That's literally garbage. It served once to protect us, but it doesn't serve anymore. We just keep dragging it along just to live a more fulfilled, full life that everybody deserves.
I love that. And so, most importantly, because people are going to want to know this, what is the best place to find you? Where are you on the interwebs?
Yeah, the easiest way is definitely the website, Natoorales, .com. And I've been kicked out of Facebook because my pages were too healthy, I guess. Still present on Instagram, LinkedIn, but the landing page, naturales.com,
Yeah,
is definitely the one. Is Natoorales.com, and reach out. I'm here, and I'm happy to help to do and be an audit first, and then you decide. You're the driver.
that's
I'm
right.
just the traffic sign on the road that shows you, oh, this is where the destinations are,
Stop,
and you
go,
choose your
stop, go.
destination. Yeah.
Come,
I'm
come.
just one of those, on the beach, I should put that in the background too. On the
That,
beach, you have this post, usually with all these
oh, yeah,
directions.
that's right.
One
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
to Paris, one goes to Hawaii, one goes to the beach, one goes to cafe.
yeah.
So I'm just gonna, I just represent that post, and then you decide which arrow you're gonna choose based on what you're willing to do at this point, what your mind is willing to accept and work with, or your body, what your budget is.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can do something every time. It's
Yes.
not that you can't do anything. Even if there you come with a load of things, there's that's why we are looking for root cause. We look for the one thing. If we change that, everything else gonna change or become way easier. That's my motto.
I love the idea, and people are talking about this is like 1% better every day. So what's the thing that we
Huh?
could do that gives us 1% every day that's just going to help improve us in that direction? So I feel like we're
Yeah,
on
but
the
do they hold themselves accountable? Do
yeah.
they hold
On
themselves
this
accountable? Do they keep the tracker? Because
exactly.
percentages compounds, right?
Yeah, of
One
course. Of
percent
course.
tomorrow, it's 1% on top
Exactly.
of the percent of yesterday. So
Exactly.
it goes exponentially at some point. That's
Exactly.
how big the 1% is, but who keep track?
I feel like we're on the same frequency when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Just a little bit better every day, right? Well, I appreciate
Well,
it so
thank you very
much.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll put all the links in the show notes so that everybody can access them and then they can find you. They can go right to your website. You've got some really cool tools on there that people who also are interested in this topic and this theme and this
Hmm.
technology will really benefit from. And yeah,
Yeah.
we will.
There's there's some uh, how do you call that? Test, not test. I don't like that, but they can test their the trauma. They can test their
So you have like
miasms.
a
Yeah.
quiz or
Yeah.
something that,
Yeah.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
can do
definitely,
that on a dedicated pages. They can do
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and that's
Well,
a guide already, right?
yeah, yeah, we'll definitely include a link to that in the show notes too, because that's a nice way for people to kind of see maybe where some of their problem areas are and like a good place for them to start
Yeah.
focusing, right? It's a good solution to start being a little bit better every day.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. 1%. Let's keep that 1%.
Absolutely. All
Thank you
right.
very much.
Thank you so much. I'm sure I will see you soon, and hopefully everyone enjoys this talk. And yeah, they'll get a little bit healthier every day. That's the goal. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk soon.
Bye.